It's a good thing.
So I kind of know
more coral up in the upper left-hand corner
yeah,
there.
if we could get that coral, that would be great. In the right.
Oh, and
how about the one on that left? Yeah, the one you're going for. There's both a pink one and a white one there. Scott France had pointed these out earlier in the vent log, brought them to our attention. Thank you, Scott.
Yeah, I may have been wrong on saying one was Pictogorgia.
Yeah, well, I think these are corallids, Scott, but I may be mistaken. They're going to zoom in a moment.
Yeah, I think you're right. It looks like there's a much smaller third one up on the far right on the rock face. So it looks like this is a good area for these corallids.
Okay, so this is similar to what we imaged just a few minutes ago. These are deep water precious corals. That is the members of this family, Coralliidae, in shallower water.
You can see something on the are
harvested in some places in the world to make jewelry. This one is a little bit too deep,
about
and
a month after he's done with
the
this.
skeleton is not all that appropriate for making jewelry.
Okay.
It's obviously controversial whether or not jewelry should be made from these animals, but just pointing that out. They're very, very beautiful corals. They tend to secrete a hard skeleton area, and that's, yeah, what was that? Some type of a tube worm, right? Okay.
Yeah, I just saw what you guys were remarking about. There was little fan worms sticking out of the sediments there. They're polychaete.
Yeah, he's gonna take a shot at this. And there we go.
I have a 7-second delay because I can get ready to see something when I hear you guys ooh and on.
Yeah. Well, look at that. It is some type of
right, some kind of polychaete. Yeah, I'd say a polychaete. There's so many tube-dwelling types. I'm not sure which one it might be, but again, one of the interesting things about animals that depend on currents to feed is they often have similar convergent structures. And so the tentacles here have that same kind of pinnate structure. They're each long projections, but then they have thin, hairy, sort of hair-like things coming off of them in turn. And so that same kind of structure is seen on the octocorals we just saw, as well as those barnacles. So there's sort of a similarity in overall form, even though they're different.
Chris, I'm going to use that nice description about the convergence in the morphology there to also talk about divergence, because, about 15, 20 minutes ago, we saw that really nice big polychaete sitting on sand, and you could see it had the very big paddle-like limbs that it uses to move itself through its environment, to swim and push around the bottom. Whereas these polychaetes that live in tubes have largely lost those paddle-like limbs because they're sessile. They're basically sitting in one place waiting for the food to come to them. So we have both diversity and morphology among all the polychaete worms, and then convergence to structures depending on how they're feeding or doing other things in their life.
Yes, so a lot of the animals that we're seeing, their shapes are affected by the way that they live, and that's an important part of what we study out here. So we're good to go, I think.
We're good. We just had a little bit of a pilot shift. I think Dave Wright is on the stick right now, if I'm not mistaken.
Levi Unima as co-pilot.
Fernando Aragon as navigator.
We've seen, we'll take a snap zoom on this white coral here. We've seen these so far already and zoomed in on it, but let's confirm that it's the same as what we saw earlier. And yeah, I think this would be a Narella. I don't think we'd have an argument about that.
That's a fairly weathered-looking ophiuroid on it.
And another of the squat lobsters down below it to the left.
It's a very big starfish-shaped lava flow.
That sort of sounded like desperation there, Chris. You'll even take starfish-shaped rocks now. Have faith. We're going to find one.
I'm just simply observing the resemblance is all.
By the way, I have a theory as to how sea cucumbers evolved.
I'm almost afraid to ask.
No, it is. So there was this predator that came along, and he grabbed the sea star, right from above. The sea star was flat against the rocks, and he pulled, but he couldn't get him off the rocks. And he just kept pulling and pulling and pulling and stretching this sea star like the Fantastic Four, the rubber guy. And then he couldn't get him, and he let him go, but the sea star couldn't fix his shape anymore, so he wound up having a tooth shape, and he kind of fell over on his side, and voila, you had the first sea cucumber. What do you think about that?
I think that if I know the general theories of evolution in echinoderm camps, you've just angered a couple of echinoderm biologists, both of them. So
the point, of course, isn't that kind of the way the symmetry works between the two animals. That was the point of the stupid joke.
I know.
Can we zoom in on this, please?
One of the sort of the teachable moments that a lot of echinoderms share is that they all have
pretty much
five
lined up with
rows,
a sonar
or
return.
a five.
A little to my
what's
port.
called pentaradial symmetry. They occur in a shape that is radiating from a central point
right on it,
in sort of numbers of 5, and they all have tube feet that radiate from the center in that pattern. And so there's a lot of discussion about how how those are equivalent across different classes of echinoderms. And it's been a teaching point in classrooms for quite a long time.
20 meter,
and there's some controversy right now whether or not whether those tube foot rows are the same thing in every group. So.
I don't want to call it in quite yet, but I think. Actually,
if we could focus on the yellow one and not the red one. The red one's another coralliad. We've got some anemones there on the rock behind
us. Is that a chitin there on the bottom?
Could be. Good eyes there, Chris.
Always love me a good chitin.
Yeah. Sorry, I was so focused on the yellow one.
Oh, no, it's a crinoid on the other side there, too. Oh, and a homolid, I think. At first I thought it was a squat lobster.
I wonder if there's another egg case there that's open in this case.
Oh, is this...
So this is Solandaria again, or at least it's a hydrozoan. It's a colonial hydrozoan. And I think we saw it on the last dive.
Yeah, quite a big one, I think.
Yeah, and this is pretty good size, too.
Usually hydroids tend to be small animals, at least when they're colonial like this. So I'm often confused when I see them in the field because these are so big.
Yeah, look at that current. So Sako Matsumoto, hello Sako. She was saying it doesn't look so strong here, but it wasn't very strong until a little thruster blast there. So Sako was right. There isn't a whole lot of current here.
Well, nice little community. So one of the great things about a lot of these colonial animals is that I think Scott termed the phrase ecosystem engineer once, and I've rather liked that term because essentially their physical structure being here provides habitat for several other organisms, several other animals. In this case, we can see quite a diversity of things, from the brittle star to the little, here's a little crustacean, a little amphipod that's on the surface, to that giant, relatively speaking, that giant crab that was crawling around on it. And here's a barnacle, another stocked
I'm
barnacle.
happy here. I want to see what this is.
So a lot of different animals live on these corals, so it's always fun to zoom in and see who's calling this home. So
there's a shrimp on the other side of the colony.
I think we're good, pilot.
Yeah, we could take just a quick look at when we pull out the crab that it was on it. Yeah.
Oh, there he is.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh no, it's not a homolid. It's a
No, it's not a homolid. It's chirostylid.
Chirostylid.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, Mary Wixine's shaking her finger at you, Chris, right now. I can tell you.
Crustaceans were always
in fun though.
Crustaceans were always my weak point. I always liked the radial things.
You're prejudiced against bilateral animals?
I just put in the event log.
I'm sorry, what was that, Scott?
Directed you to an image on the animal guide. And if
Okay,
that's
pilot.
correct, this is not a
I don't know if
chirostylid,
it's an
but
optical
a munid.
illusion, but
A
I'm curious
munid.
what.
Sorry,
Yeah,
what was
up here
that,
on the
Scott?
left.
You were pretty faint there. Could
Go
you
ahead.
repeat it, please?
Yeah, I said if you look at what I put in the event log, I pointed you to an image from the animal guide that would suggest that this is a munid crab and not a chirostylid crab. It looks like also on a solandarian,
Wow.
so same sort of
What?
thing we were looking right there. And then I also didn't know if Chris
Yeah.
had noted
Wow.
that there were
I'm pretty close to
crinoids on the back side of the
so I'll come up
corallium.
with you.
Yeah.
I had,
Oh,
but
yeah, look at.
they're
Okay, let's focus on what we're looking at
Yeah.
right here. So we've now got a really nice little community that suddenly appeared on a really steep wall here of pillow lavas, and this is
Come up a
actually
little
what we
quicker
were
here. You're
hoping
off my
to
start,
see.
but I'll turn to keep
Something
you in view.
like this. This is terrific.
I love how when they just turned the lights on, it just was
Yeah.
all there.
Yeah, I think these are all corallids, frankly, or a lot of them are. There's something dead white here. But yeah,
Sponge, perhaps.
they're having to be a little cautious here because it's quite steep terrain. Yeah, I wonder if is it possible to go down a little bit, Dave, and maybe
Yeah.
get some of those fans that are... Okay.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, my light pool was hitting it.
Thank you very much.
Made me a little
Wow, it's a
nervous.
stunning vista.
Luckily, there was
Yeah,
white
so-
corals to reflect.
I don't know if these are erosional channels or these are pillow lavas that were just
I'll come back
flowing down
to
and
it,
we're just
or-
seeing
okay.
grooves in
So
between.
John
the
Smith
pillows.
says, nice pillow wall, possibly the side of a really large and steep eruptive vent or cone.
Ah,
You want me to
okay,
move
he
any
answered
swing
it.
arms? They're all fully
Thank
deployed
you,
right
John.
now.
Thank you, John.
Okay, I'll leave them out.
I can tell already that we've got a lot of coralliids, the hemicorallium on this wall. Seems to be the most abundant coral.
Yep.
And that white thing toward the center would be really nice to image. Pretty sure we know what the pink things are, but we can... Oh, is that right? Okay, thank you, pilot.
Oh, this is Chris's new
Very
anastomosing
technical.
sponge.
Is it really? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We got to take another look at one of these.
I knew it. I'm really coming to think that
This is-
you're negative.
Is that? No.
No.
Okay. No, it's a base or something.
Yes.
Oh.
Thinking that you're negative, we're not going to see it charm in the morning is really starting to work for you.
Yeah. It is. You were too positive about seeing a sea star. I'm telling you. It's a natural law. It's just the more negative you are, the more positive your results will be. I mean, pseudo-negativity. In other words, you're secretly positive, but you don't express it. See, that's the key. Okay, here we go. And this is indeed one of these weird anastomosing, and we need a really tight view of this thing because we saw something really unique about the sponge when we got it in the lab.
Oh, wow.
So see all these spikes? These are not spikes. They're not part of the sponge. These are some type of a zoanthid or an anemone that are sticking out of the branches. And all those little white things are the body. It could be a hydrozoan as well. And when we got it into the lab, they'd all sort of retracted into the branches. And at first I thought we just wore off all of these spikes on the way up. And then I started thinking about it. It's not possible. So these tentacles look so straight. They fooled us. They look like the microscopic sort of parts of the sponge sticking out. But they're some type of cnidarian.
Yeah, I agree. I thought these were too stiff to be tentacles, but as you're describing it, I'm watching closely, and I can see some of them swaying back and forth. That's remarkable.
Yeah, and some of them are curved, and this is a very different cnidarian, I think, than what we're seeing in another sponge that we call Lefroyella, which we saw in an earlier dive on this cruise. So I just got a message from Dr. Henry Reiswig up in Vancouver. I sent him pictures of this.
Absolutely.
And he agrees that it's potentially in the family Tritodictyidae, which is what I tentatively identified it to. I couldn't send him any microscope close-ups, but he said just from looking at the colony, he's pretty certain it's a brand new species. So we're good, pilot, whenever you are. This is terrific. Another...
Sirius has a pretty good view. So.
Yeah. Good. How about the one that's coming down from the top center right now? It looks, I think it's different. I'm not positive. It may not be. It may just be the angle. So just a snap zoom, unless it turns out to be odd. I think it's going to be the same coralliid. Yeah, we could probably pass on this after whenever you're ready. Sorry about that.
Let's see.
Co-pilot, this is your
Okay,
navigator.
so
Calling in for a conference.
did you say that you were
yeah.
working something out, pilot?
I got the hard return 25 meters out. Got him at 27 degrees. I think he's ready to make...
Chris, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Come on, dude. 15 meters at least.
So from a higher view, or even in the view we're seeing now, you can see that
230.
most of these colonies seem to be oriented on what for us is the right face of this feature. And I'm wondering what cardinal direction that is. So what's the direction of the ROV, and what is the right side of the screen?
Bridge, nav.
What's the heading, of the ROV?
Pilot, did you hear that?
We'd like a ship
so
move,
what is
please.
the heading of the
15
ROV relative
meters,
to
bearing
the
230 degrees,
current and the
speed
direction
0
of the
decimal 2
corals
knots.
on the right side of the wall?
Good copy. Thank you, Bridge. Go ahead, video. Yep.
Scott, does that help?
I cannot hear the pilots on the telecon. And I'll also
Done
point out that
OKEX.
on the quad screen right now, the sonar is not showing. It's still got ROV sample collection.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
I had to push yet another button, but my heading is 230, and that's the orientation of the ridge that we're on now. The fans seem to be lined up with me in a lot of cases, so that would lead one to believe that currents are coming from 315 and sweeping up this phase. But I'm not feeling any current at present.
Great, thank you. That sounds like Dave. Appreciate that. And yeah, I think the growth of the corals would be a long-term monitoring of the current. So even if you aren't experiencing anything strong right now, that's certainly telling us that that's the size that they're.
I think the ship is starting to move
that
by.
they're
That should be
growing
advised.
best on.
Coming towards you.
Thank you.
Short move,
Thanks.
15 meters.
So, Dave, on the lower center of the screen, there's, I think, a white ball.
Okay.
Hopefully that's not just a big sand pit or something.
We'll get
But it's
closer.
over. Yeah. Do you see it sort of to the right between two corals? Yeah.
Coming down with you.
So. So it is a thing. Good. I was afraid it was an illusion. Certainly, at your convenience. Absolutely, sir. So this is the Okeanos Explorer. We're currently exploring the surface of this very interesting basalt feature at a depth of 1,222 meters. And we're currently in a field of hemicorallium, precious coral, and right now we're zooming in on what I think is our first sea urchin for today's dive. The first one we've certainly seen in a while. You can see all of the long projections coming off of it. Those are probably tube feet. Sea urchins, this is
A little bit
the
of tether. Might feel a couple tugs
sort
on
of the deep
swell.
sea relative of the shallow water animals that you see in the intertidal and that you get uni from if you're a sushi fan.
Come down a little bit.
This one looks like, okay. I think when we get a zoom, I'll elaborate. I think it's in a kind of third.
Out into the waves.
Yeah.
Right now.
Ah, yes. Lovely. So this is this looks like an urchin in the. I think it's in the sort of general group, the Echinotheridae. The guide identifies it as possibly in the genus Sparosoma. These are what's called sometimes tam o'shanter urchins or pancake urchins because the tests are relatively flat when they're brought out of water. The spines can be quite sharp. These are one of the more commonly encountered deep groups of deep sea urchins. These can actually be one of the few deep sea urchins that have poisonous spines. And if you handle the wrong one without gloves, they can be apparently quite painful relative to how big the animals are. So, but just as a matter of general biology, they're using their spines and their tube feet to walk up the vertical wall of this magma feature. We'll probably see more of them, but the sort of swaying tentacle-like structures are its tube feet, and there are other spine-like structures that cover the surface, sort of more claw-shaped structures if you look close to the surface, and it uses these to defend against things that settle on it and maybe small micro-predators that bite at the tube feet. Anyway, that's splendid. Thank you. We can move on. Oh, and if we could get a quick shot with the lasers just to see how big it is. Thank you. Oh, so it's quite a large animal as well. It's about 10 centimeters across. Okay. Wonderful. Thank you.
Full wide.
Move looks complete.
Yeah, I'd say that's a good
Got you at,
strategy, Dave.
37. My sonar looks pretty good. Looks like it kind of continues
So,
up.
to those who are watching, this is Okeanos Explorer. We're a submersible located currently in the Johnston Atoll unit in the Central Pacific Ocean. We're exploring a ridge
This move is going to be
on a place called Edmondson Seamount at a depth of 1,220 meters. We're currently in a field of precious coral called hemicorallium. Oh, there's a crinoid on the lower left corner there on that
Bridge, Nav.
and so a lot of these corals
Can we get
often
another ship
provide
move, please?
habitat and homes
5 meters,
for a great deal
bearing
of
215,
organisms. They
0.2.
thrive in these heavy current areas where they can pick food out of the water, and so other animals often like to sort of piggyback on that advantage. And this looks like the biggest crinoid I have ever seen, a feather star. So these are also echinoderms. Echinoderms are the group of animals that I study, mostly sea stars, but there's another group called feather stars, which have these very elongate arms that they can also use to pluck organic particles out of the water. They have, we were talking earlier about sort of the pinnate structures, the fine hair-like things that come off of the arms, and that's what this is using, in addition to its long, looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, approximately 20 arms projecting from the center. This is one we've seen before. It has these yellow sort of leg-like structures called cirri, which it's using to attach itself to this precious coral.
Yeah.
And I think we're getting ready to zoom, so get a chance to look at it. And the lasers are 10 centimeters across. They give us an idea of how big these things are. And
He
so
just talked about lasers,
the fan of this animal is easily 10 centimeters. Wow, 20 centimeters. Am I reading that right? 20 centimeters across. So that's an enormous feather star. Usually they're half that. So one of the challenges that we're currently having is that we're in a fairly complicated geological terrain, and so the pilots are trying to get us safely navigated so that we can take a look at this animal.
Setting up the live event, I think. So, yeah.
Mine are free.
I have a pretty good reach, but I can't quite reach the box. I know.
Let them listen. Yep.
Yeah. I feel that way too. Zoom.
So, Dave, are we still trying to zoom on this? Oh, of course. I'm sorry. Yeah. Oh, no. I apologize for. Yeah. So we're currently looking at the mouth of this crinoid, sort of in the center there. This is where all of the arms converge. There's actually the center part where all of the arms converge, which is the mouth.
Check me to try to move
and
some
usually
lights
the
around.
anus is directed on a pyramid or some kind of elevated structure, which carries
Copy. I'm thinking port lower,
the waste
swing it
materials
inboard
farther
without hitting the
away
shilling.
from where the food comes in.
That's
But
right.
we're seeing just a delightful close-up of the sort of intricate morphology of these things. That's okay. That's wonderful, Dave. Thank you.
Okay, if he's done. Never mind.
And we can move on at your pleasure.
Yeah.
Wow, looks like those crinoids are on more than a few of these. Yeah. Wow.
Thank you, Bridge. Move complete.
Was that a crab in the center there? Thank you. Oh, wow. Okay. So we're looking at a looks like some kind of lithoid crab, or maybe it's a squat lobster.
Yeah, I think it's another squat lobster, Chris.
Okay, it is a squat lobster. Okay, yeah, we can move on at your convenience.
Work our way up the ridge. Pretty cool looking ridge, isn't it? Yeah, what does depth show? Or
Perhaps another one of
Contour
the units
is-
like we saw on that large hydrozoan colony before the Seamount area.
To the waypoint, I show bearing.
So we're currently
440.
proceeding up a lava
follow
feature
Bridge.
with a number of.
Ship is done moving. You're gonna swing a little bit.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking too, because contour would suggest, 1260, 1270.
We're currently having an educational event, so there's some.
I see
Distraction.
something off here on your.
But,
so I think you can require.
We're slowly proceeding
if
up
it is
a
a spire,
lava
I think we'll be
feature
all right.
with a lot of precious coral present
Thinking,
on the side.
Port or starboard side of it, would you like? Okay.
Do you want us to get moving toward the east again?
Yeah, I think the ship is stopped again.
It's
Yeah.
stopped.
Okay. Let's do.
About 225.
Maybe go. Kind of.
240.
Yeah, let's do that.
240.
You want to do like 30 meters? That's the length of the tether.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least.
Got it. Bridge, nav. Another move, please. 30 meters, bearing 240, speed 0.2.
Kind of a cool shot of D2 from here. Not a lot of tether
Good
left.
copy. Yeah, Levi, if you were closer, that'd be a really cool shot. There's
Okay, there we go.
of the light and the color from here.
So, Dave, can we take a quick look at one of these sort of those barren skeletal trees? Yeah, that one works.
Thank you, Bridge. Bridge, is this better? Okay, I'll work on it.
Oh, if you can find, if there's a better one, that's fine. We don't need to look at that one. Yeah.
Dave, I think those mics are directional. You could be on the back side of the mic. It's possible. But think those. I can't remember on those headsets.
Feels flat on both sides.
Oh, interesting. We also have, looks like a nice barnacle to the side there. Or maybe that's a base.
I want to make sure your drawer's all the way in, pilot. I saw it hit.
The
retracting now, easy.
I'm not
There it is.
sure.
Okay.
Okay.
I saw it hit that.
Yeah. I'm not sure
Yeah.
that port wing is all the way outboard either. We brought it in for a rock sample.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
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 Yeah, this looks like the skeleton from the hemicorallium.
Things were a little
I just
crazy
wanted to
at
make
the
sure
time.
it wasn't something else. Could we also, to the left there, I think it's either a base or a barnacle, I'm not sure. No worries.
Yeah, Levi, when you're about 10 meters closer.
I think
you should
that's
set
the
up a photo
base
shoot
of
here.
dead
me
coral
stay low?
of the
Stay-
hemicorallium.
You want me
Okay,
to stay low, but
Great, we can move on.
yeah. I'll see what I can do.
Thank you very much.
Like Kelly said, we have a two-body system that we want Okeanos explored where we have. We have and we go up to 6,000 meters or closer to 4 miles. We have Sirius, which is an Kiwa sled, red sled, and D2 is a very close-up high quality images from seafloor. So D2 is, yes, you can see it on the
About all the tell you got, I think.
Sirius screen on the right.
I see it getting tight with the heaves. I'm coming. Yeah, I'm still on the move.
We're still moving, yes.
Yeah. Get
Wow. So John Smith gives us some insight into the structure as an amazing pillowed ridge feature. Looks like we've got some phone things going on. Looks like there's a brittle star on the tip of the rock there. If we could. Do you see it? Yeah. So, as we're progressing along this amazing pillow ridge feature, there's a whole bunch of things living on the surface of it, including many corals, and we're
meters
coming
I'd
up
love
on
to move.
a couple of shrimp
That's about it.
and what I hope is a brittle star.
Yeah.
Copy.
Brittle stars are relatives of sea stars. They're distinguished by having sort of more extensively long arms. They have a very small disc and are capable of
You want
hiding in very tiny places.
for
They're
your
found
shot? You want to
all over the place,
delta,
in
right?
small cryptic,
Yeah.
flattened areas.
Yeah. I'm just saying that's the shot you're trying to get.
So the real shallow water corals, they have a really special association with microscopic algae that lives in this tissue.
I'm going to check your wings while you're in this situation here. Starboard. I think that one's fine. I think it's, yeah, it's good. Okay. He's on it again. What was the heading of that move? The bearing of that move? 240. Still in the swing. Pilot, I got you at 63. Got a little bit of time left, but I am moving kind of up and over you here.
Conference call has been reconnected.
Okay. Yeah, we're just finishing the swing, so. Yeah. I heard Roland say he reconnected it, but. Yeah. Right.
Just to clarify, Dave, we're waiting for video, right? Okay, thank you. No worries, thank you.
I'm here. Go. What do you need, a Zoom? Sorry. Somebody kicked me.
Ah, here we go.
Okay, looking down at your pilot, but I'm comfortable.
Thank God for that. So interesting brittle star we're looking at here. There's an incredible diversity of brittle stars found throughout our oceans. These are the most speciose of all the echinoderms. There are over 2,100 species, and especially here in the deep sea, in all likelihood, this is probably something that's new, or at least widely occurring. So there are a lot of interesting forms that turn up in these habitats that we haven't seen before. So this one might belong to the family Ophiacanthidae, which is a commonly encountered group in the deep sea. Very nice. We could, yeah, go on. No, I think we can move on. That sounds like a, yes, no, that sounds like a great time. Sounds like a good time for it. Thank you.
There we go.
Wow. Just fantastic. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, Scott. So, not to worry. We're just having a little bit of an interactive event, and so there's a little bit of back and forth between sound and so forth.
Yeah, I was going to say, I didn't know if you were planning on come up or down.
So we're descending into what looks like a remarkable geological field.
Good delta.
John Smith wonders if we're moving around a pinnacle.
We had about a solid 16-meter delta.
But there's some astonishing geological formations and rocks and arrangement that we're seeing here.
Yep, there it is, as expected. Okay, I'm ready for a short move towards
Over
him,
to the right
maybe.
there, it looks like
At least
some coral.
At least 15.
I think there's a white blob next to it.
Let's go to... Actually, stand by. Hold on. Yeah, I also want a big good heading here. 240.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. What's that sort of striped thing? Is it a squat lobster? Oh, an urchin? Dave, when you... Yeah. That's a neat structure that we're focused on, Dave. Whenever we can zoom.
Classic.
If we could zoom on that, there's a, I'm not sure what it is in that hole right below the coral.
I do think your first guess was correct, Chris.
It's a squat lobster. Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, there's like a bunch of them hiding. Yeah. Those little tube things are hiding. Yeah. Yeah, and as long as we're here, we can sort of zoom in on these little white translucent spheres. Oh.
Slippery rocks.
Max.
Yeah.
Max zoom. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it.
Interesting. Looks like these little white translucent bulbs might be either tunicates or possibly sponges. And down in the sort of little sandy trap there, it looks like a tube worm with the kind that we saw before with the tubes composed of sediment made from the adjoining areas with the tentacles extended out into the water. Okay, interesting. We can get going when you're ready, Dave. Oh yeah, that's a great, yeah. Yeah, let's pan right. I think I saw something next to one of those coral colonies. Okay. It's a giant dead stalk. Oh, there's a sponge in the background. Yeah. Man, those crinoids are giant. Oh, it's a sea cucumber, not a sponge. Yeah, let's take a look at the sea cucumber. Thank you. So we're slowly zooming in on a sea cucumber. This is an animal that similar to an earthworm in a marine habitat. They're echinoderms. They're related to sea stars and sea urchins. They're the same types of sea cucumbers that you might find in shallow waters, but essentially what they do is they roam around on the bottom and kind of vacuum up sediment and digest all the organic particles that come with that sediment. And you can sort of see that by looking through the gut and looking through the body wall. There's a nice transparent view here of the sediment on all the food from the animal actually in the gut as it's sort of vacuuming food off the bottom. We're good here, pilot. We can head for that giant crinoid that's up on the right side there. Yeah, that's a good one. Startled sea cucumbers are a messy business.
Chris, the coral colony that's behind the one with the crinoid may be different. It looks plainer, so it may not be an Arella. So
Okay, you want so the coral behind it?
never mind.
Oh, okay. So we're looking at a large crinoid. These are exploiting the water current that's present on a lot of these coral colonies. Don't recognize this one, but looks quite large and different color compared to the other one. Take some zooms on it, and hopefully Chuck Messing, who is one of our crinoid experts, will be able to tell us more about it later on. If we could, panning over to the right, there's a snail on the rock behind it also. Oh.
Like several of the pinules there are regrowing. Chris, is that your observation?
I'm not sure. Oh yeah, there is one arm that's regrowing.
I don't mean the arm. I mean on some of the arms, some of the pinules are much shorter than.
Oh yeah, okay. So some of the pinules, some of these projections that are coming off the arms look like they've been they're much shorter than the others. That might be because of predation, perhaps from a fish or some other type of predator, possibly a sea urchin. A lot of crinoids are actually preyed upon by sea urchin predators, something that wasn't really known up until just a little while ago. And can we get the lasers on this real quick, just so we get an idea of how big it is? Oh, wow. So it's... Huh. So it's a fairly sized animal, 10 to 15 centimeters across. Wow. Okay, we can move on, Dave. Thank you.
I can yank power cords, or I can ask someone.
Annie. Lights.
I got my hand on the cord. They're working on it.
All right, folks, I'm back. We just did a live interaction with the Exploratorium in San Francisco, and this was terrific. We were answering some questions from the group over there and their visitors. If you're, by any chance, if you're in San Francisco, you got to stop at this place. It's very, very cool. So we're back looking at the cliff. What I missed, Chris? But in a nutshell.
Well, some of the biggest feather stars I think I've seen in my life, and we saw some of those weird little spherical white balls. I'm not sure what they were, tunicates or sponges. We saw some crabs, or rather some spot lobsters that were sort of away from the usual
I'll line up with this sonar return. Looks like it's going to be around.
But mostly we've been looking at these really spectacular these rock vistas, these magma.
I'm ready if pilot's ready for a move here.
Just some wonderful things. We saw a couple. We saw a nice kind of third a while back.
Let me turn to starboard a little bit.
Yeah, there's two
So,
nice squirrels right there.
An interesting,
250.
diverse fauna.
Yeah, 250. I'm okay
But,
with
still looking
30
for,
meters. I think
some
that's
Some sea stars. Yeah.
good.
They got to show up.
Bridge now.
We've seen almost all of them at this point. I mean, so there are 5 classes of
move, please.
living
30
echinoderms:
meters,
sea urchins,
bearing 250,
sea cucumbers,
speed
brittle
0.2.
stars, feather stars, and sea stars. And up to this point,
Good copy.
we've seen all of them except today, except for sea stars. And usually, we see some kind of sea star, even if it's a Brisingid, which is a suspension-feeding sea star that looks kind of like a brittle star.
Just curious about this sea bias here.
So some really beautiful pillow flows and volcanics here.
On
So
and off every 3 seconds or so. So you can set it.
So
some
there's
corals down there. I guess we're coming up off of that ledge, and we're sort of on a little flatter area, huh?
Yeah, Chris, we've hopped over it. We climbed the fin or spire to the top, leapt off, much like a disturbed shrimp, and flew over to this spot here. And we've got to go back down and get a little bit more tether, and then we'll resume.
Oh, of course, no problem. Thank you. So, I was happy to see that you were talking to people from the Exploratorium. That's from my hometown of San Francisco. I used to visit there a lot when I was a kid.
Yeah, so pilot, see that sort of brownish yellow thing? I don't know if you've... It just looks a little different. It may be dead, but... And it's got something on it, maybe a squat lobster, maybe it's just a broken...
I see a claw.
Are you talking about the fan, Chris?
Beckoning claw.
Yeah, this fan that's kind of yellowish here. We're going to take a quick look at that. And then there's...
Yeah,
It looks like another Norella again over to the left. I'm not seeing anything particularly new.
Try to get
Oh, yeah, it's my branching sponge again.
Yeah, rub it in.
2-0. Two of my sponges, 0 to your sea stars. I'm sorry, but
You're
looks
not
like
even sorry.
I'm out on an early lead. So most of the sponge is dead.
We actually saw a third one while you were doing your interaction.
So it's 3-1? Chris didn't tell me this.
I don't think we saw one, Scott.